Subscribe to Bisbo and press the bell icon. See boring news turn into enjoyable stories. We cannot mistake what is happening in Iran today as a feminist movement. No. Because if it was only for the freedom of showing their hair, the former ruler of Iran, Raza Shah Pahlavi, had already banned headscarves in his 1936 decree.
Kashife hijab or unveiling.
But they overthrew his son Mohammad Raza Pahlavi and his brutal secret police Savak in the 1979 People's Revolution, when hordes of youth from the religious right and the communist left bandied together under the mullahs, but cruelly only replaced an autocratic dictator with a fanatical one. A story common across the Arab world, as countries other than Tunisia are all worse off after the Arab Spring movement. In Iran, the Ayatollahs gradually made hijab compulsory for all women, where even showing strands of hair were considered forbidden, and have been ruling Iran with an iron hand for over 40 years, putting their citizenry through wars and sanctions throughout this entire period. Only two people have been the supreme leader, Khomeini till his death in 1989, and since then his veritable clone, the now 83-year-old Ali Khamenei. Relatively free democratic elections have led to a succession of precedents, but they all can only work within the framework of the law laid down by the Supreme Leader and the Guardian Council, whose head is the 95-year-old Ayatollah Ahmad Jannati, nominated for yet another 6-year term that ends in 2028, when he will be 101 years old. The joke in Iran is that the angel of death, Azrael, has been unsuccessfully trying to get him for the last several years.
I swear to God, if I can't get you this year, I will resign.
It seems that the Iranians are now trying to do the job themselves by overthrowing the regime. After Tehran's morality police picked up the 22-year-old Mahsa Amini while she was walking in a park on September 13th. Her crime? Accidentally showing strands of her hair. Filthy woman! People like you need to be re-educated. Taken forcibly to a women's detention center, she died 2 days later in hospital. Word soon spread on social media that Amini was beaten by the police, which led to a brain hemorrhage from which she died. Tehran police refuted this.
She had a heart attack. Cyberspace is full of lies.
Even going to the extent of releasing the video of her collapse. But there are few takers for this theory in Iran, and women fed up over being constantly mistreated rose up in anger. The anger spread from Tehran's universities to far-flung Kurdish towns in Saqqez, northwest Iran from where Amini was, and even to the religious cities of Mashhad and Qom, the historic headquarters of Iran's Shiite clergy. Unconfirmed reports showed oil workers chanting "Death to the dictator, Khamenei," a phrase almost exclusively reserved by the Iranians for the US and Israel. Important because it was this very group of people and bazaar merchants that helped sweep the clergy into power in the 1979 revolution. The young, brave girls were throwing caution to the wind. Some Iranian women sang the Farsi version of Bella Ciao. The anti-fascist anthem of the Italian resistance during World War II. In solidarity with Amini, a young Iranian Donna Rad posted a video of herself on social media having breakfast in a restaurant without a hijab. She was arrested and taken to Tehran's notorious Evin prison. Hadis Najafi had a worse fate in store after her video of tying her hair back and boldly stepping into the middle of a protest went viral. She was allegedly specifically targeted and shot down later. In protest, many Iranian women chopped off their hair to show solidarity. 40 kilometers west of Tehran, in a school in Karaj, girls removed their hijab en masse, shouted "Inqilab, Inqilab" and anti-regime slogans, hounding the principal out of school. This was particularly courageous when the punishment for removal of hijab can be 74 lashes, sentencing, or a fine of 500 to 50,000 riyals. But 15-year-old Asra Panahi paid with her life after she was beaten by security forces near a school while returning from an anti-regime protest. In yet another deceitful pronouncement, the government said she committed suicide. For all their courageousness, will the outcome this time be any different from their previous protests? In December 2017, Vida Mowahed, a young Iranian woman, staged a silent, solitary protest in the middle of a crowd on Revolution Street in Tehran. Her video instantly went viral on Iranian social media, after which uncoordinated copycat protests took place by several young women. Vida was arrested and so were 35 other women on charges of inciting corruption and prostitution. The vocal, exiled American Iranian activist and journalist Mahsa Amini summed it up.
Hijab is the tool the regime uses to control women and through them Iranian society.
In November 2019 too, scattered protests over a surprise increase in gasoline prices were firmly crushed. There was hope once when Mohammad Khatami brought in limited social and economic reforms as president. But the hope faded when he was sidelined and his movements and access to the media were restricted. Similarly, the defeated candidates in the 2009 elections, Mir Hussain Moosvi and Mehdi Karoubi, were put under house arrest for more than a decade. Iran's Guardian Council, headed by Jannati, disqualified nearly half the candidates in the 2016 and 90 lawmakers in the 2020 parliamentary elections for being too liberal, effectively crushing dissent, leaving protesters leaderless. One can't expect much sympathy from the current president Ibrahim Raisi, who as judge oversaw the execution of thousands of political prisoners in the early days of the 79 revolution. Now he has cut Iran off the internet grid, making it more difficult for protesters to coordinate or get news to the outside world. A shrinking economy and high inflation on account of US sanctions are of no help to the already unpopular mullahs. A country with 90% of their women literate provides work to barely 15%, that too concentrated in 4 sectors: banking, nursing, teaching, and beauty parlors, making Iran the second largest cosmetics market in the Middle East after Saudi Arabia and the world's 7th largest. But they will not be happy with cosmetic changes any longer. They are fighting for their very own Persian Spring. Will it come? Bisbo's limerick. Another uprising in the Middle East seeks to overthrow their oppressing priests. In uncertain fate, a future waits as women stake all in their quest for release. You will also find these sources listed in our video description section.